Get this one done.
Because
Welcome, everybody.
there's not enough finished works out there that we've piled up that any viewer or listener could go listen to, right?
What number is this now? 21, 22, 23?
Uh
Who's counting?
22?
22. Maybe we should take this opportunity to address our audience, our listeners right now.
Hello, audience. Hello,
We're
listeners.
breaking the fifth wall, the fourth wall, the sixth wall. Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. This is Geoff and JJ. Man, we talk about all kinds of things, but we usually talk about creating and the world that and the world that.
Yeah, we talk about voice, we talk about choice, we talk about freedom, we talk about talk, right? I mean, I think we talk about communication. We talk about how to be a person or what a person is. We don't like. I don't think we. I mean, neither of us would have the guts to say you should do what we've done because we've both encountered. Well, I don't know. I mean, have we met a brick wall? Like, are we both failed experiments? You and me both.
No, like I mean, I would say that I didn't really know what this podcast was until recently, which was this is a journal. This is what we're doing right here is something that I think everyone should actually do at
Yeah.
least sometime in their life,
Yeah.
and that is journal your conversations. I mean, you should
Yeah.
be able to do this alone, but if you can't do it alone, then find somebody else to do it with. And then you learn so much. I mean, we've been doing this since last August. It's been over a year that we've been recording
Mm-hmm.
weekly, monthly, of a certain frequency, our
Yeah.
talks, and it's both therapeutic and it's a roadmap. We can go back and listen to the things that we've said to each other, and it can give us a new perspective that we already had in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think what a like full stack self-aware person is. I'll start to maybe make the pile. So I think, doing voice memos, so essentially like solo versions of exploring the voice is one.
Mhm.
Having something like this where you record a podcast with a friend and put them on YouTube or SoundCloud, I think is another. Then of course there's the writing dimension. There's like journaling and writing your own private stuff.
You're a big fan of that.
And then Twitter / like public experimental writing. And I mean, that could be like email as well. But yeah, it's like public and private. And then also like with like play interspersed. So yeah, there should be like a private, serious, I don't know what I am. And then like a playful version of that same curiosity.
Yeah, I was actually going to use those words, playful curiosity, because that's like what I think everyone needs is some sort of outlet of like, exploring what they can and can't do and what they do and don't like.
Yeah.
And that's what
You're,
social media was for me at the beginning because I didn't really know how to use it. And I didn't know, I mean, none of us knew how to use social media when
mm-hmm.
we first discovered it because we're from a generation that didn't have it when we were growing up. So I just thought it was supposed to be a stream of consciousness broadcast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I've like fallen into following like the poetry world like a lot, and it's a lot of people like posting where they got published, where submissions, like so much is about submissions.
Crazy. That's crazy, isn't it? I noticed that
Um,
too. That a lot of I started following some poets too, and it's all about submissions. I'm like, man, is this like 1995 or something?
no, it's not, and I only get heated about it because it's a part of my game I'm not good at, which is editing and submitting. Yeah, editing, polishing, and then submitting and like getting to know where things could be published. But I have no appetite for my own career at all. Like managing it. I don't know. There's something in there is like the core turnoff. The
Oh,
core rage is
yeah.
somewhere. It's somewhere in like I know what I need to do to succeed, and I know what I could be, but I won't let myself go there. It's like I'm magnetically turned off from it. I don't know why.
Like publications that are looking for poetry. Like I don't know what those are because I don't read
Yeah.
poetry journals, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. Like if I would think that I wouldn't want to be published in those. I
Hmm.
mean, uh, you know, if somebody was looking for music submissions, I don't know. That's a different thing, I guess. I'm not a poet, so I don't really
Well,
know.
yeah.
My father was a poet,
Mm.
and he had to deal with a lot of rejections from sending
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really outsource my rejection, and that could be a good like title where it's like I don't
Uh-huh.
really put a thing together and then like hope someone responds well, right? Like I feel like getting published is just a place to like play out the drama of probably your childhood of like not being accepted and not being wanted. And it's just this whole world that's like set up around rejections and around proving yourself and like fitting into what they want. Like it's all about finding some authority who has the power to reject you or to approve you and then you believing it's going to do something. Whereas even if you get all the bylines, like you're just on the slippery pole the entire time. It's like you're already there, right? It's like congrats, you're already a poet. And I hate hearing this. I hate when I get this advice from older, wiser, and for better or worse, more published and credentialed friends. It's like you're already what you think you are. Congrats. Then what? And I'm like, no, like it needs to be on Google, it needs to be on Twitter, it needs to be on X. But it's like I don't know.
Hmm.
There's always that rage between what I am and what I want to see myself as. And I'm always wrong about that. I'm always wrong about that. And I think that's the job is to be wrong.
I wonder why so many artists have such a hard time with career. I mean, it makes sense, like when you break it down, like the career is not the reason that we're making shit. Um,
Hmm.
and like the moment that you start to care about how you're going to put food on the table, creating your art, like that's
Hmm.
like the moment that you're gonna that you say this is how I'm going to make money, like you're changing something about
Hmm.
yourself. I changed a lot about myself when I decided that that's what I was going to do, and I had to square it with myself. I had to say this is how I'm going to make money, but I'm not going to let myself not make the art I want to make. And then 15 years go by and I'm making art that I don't really want to make, but I'm getting paid to do
Hmm.
it. And
Hmm.
but yeah, it's like I I I wish that I could be a sort of just, you know, whimsical artist that didn't have to worry about that. I guess my point is like why do I mean it's still in 2021, even though everything is right in front of us and we can say this is the road to making money right here, this is how you would do it step by step. Like I mean you have that in front of you pretty much. It's not a mystery.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to chase it down, I know how to research and figure out and test and try, and to work hard and to learn and to ask questions. If I wanted to do it, I could do it. I
And there's
think is sort
another,
of it.
yeah, there's another drive, and that is to get attention for what you're doing, which not all artists have too. So
Yeah,
there's
I
getting money, and there's getting attention, and then there's just making whatever you want to make. And those are three things that aren't necessarily things that all artists have.
yeah. Yeah, I think if somehow you can focus on just making things that you like and you and your friends like,
Well, making
I,
things that your friends like, yeah, that used to be the old way. That was the old path. Like make
yeah,
things that your friends like, and then grow your friends. Andrew
yeah,
WK, Andrew WK, uh, party hard guy. He said that when they were on tour, they weren't going around the world making fans. They were going around the world making friends. And I always
right.
took that with me whenever I was on the road too. It was like basically everybody at the show here is my extended network of friends. Um,
Yeah,
and that's why people liked our music, because you could tell we were making it for friends. That we weren't making it for people to like. We weren't making it to make music. I mean, to make money. We were making it for our friends.
hmm,
Uh, but now, when you do that, you got to make it for your friends, which is a bunch of people that are anonymous or you don't even really know. You know them through social media, and it's like it's kind of a different thing.
yeah. And I mean, it's different. You know, it's different for a. I guess I'm a solo act in a sense, right? Like I'm not a duet and I'm not a band per
You're
se.
totally a solo act, yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's really interesting to see who has stuck around and who's been following, right? Like today, I sort of went big. Well, not really big, but I mentioned some personal news, and that people who are following would certainly see it and take notice, and if they feel any kind of affinity for me and have a are yeah, like they would say something. And so it's very interesting to see who's been following and like who hasn't, right? And it's like yeah, maybe like
What was it? I missed it. I must not be following.
um
And I'm somebody who does follow you.
yeah, I decided to sell and donate most of my stuff here in California and move back to New York starting
Really?
in a week and a half.
Wow. Oh, that is a big step.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on making a decision.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's going good.
And you've lived in New York before,
I have.
so you
I
know
have.
it.
I
You're not going
do
blind.
I do know it. I'm not going blind. I feel like I'm well prepared.
It seems
Um
like a pretty good place to be an artist still. It probably always will be.
yeah. I mean, it's expensive. Yeah, I mean, it's good that. I mean, I think the good thing about it is everyone who's there is at the top of their game or wants to be there, and that energy just forces you to be better than you've ever been every day, every hour. Like you need to be at your best, at your edge all the time, because that's the only way to to stick there.
Yeah, that sounds like
Um,
being a band in LA. Yeah.
so yeah, for some reason, it's like that's feels like the big time for me, and it's like in a sense, it's like I'm giving myself a job promotion, right? Because I'm also self-employed. Um, so it's like, well, yeah, go to the big leagues.
The other
Good.
thing about New York City is that it's a lot of real world around you. You can't ignore it.
Right.
When like I
Yeah.
live the where I live, kind of in the suburbs of the Bay Area, it's really easy to forget that there are
Yes.
other people around
Yes.
me
Yes. It
and just
is.
live online. But when you're in New
I've
York,
been living online.
yeah, when you're in New York, you can't do that. And that was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was like, if you're an artist or a creator or whatever you call yourself, you have to basically accept the fact that everything is becoming this digital media, and all your relationships and conversations that you're going
I
to have.
guess
Well, this is the point I'm going to make
those
is
people are
is is that
boring.
that's not actually the truth for everyone. And in fact,
No.
myself and a lot of the other composers that I know, my wife, we all actually do not spend a lot of time online. We actually don't put our art online unless we really want it there. And in fact, like we exist in the offline world to a degree. And by that I mean like we don't put a lot of effort into gaining followers or people who are going to we don't engage with people that much on Twitter and Instagram. And we do okay. Like we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a thing, even though a lot of younger people would be like, how does that even work?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm starting to cool on social media necessarily, but it's oh man, it's so full of social climbers. It's just so full of desperation. I mean, again, it's like it's that same drama of like being rejected and like not liked and not wanted. And especially Instagram, and it's like, I'm a big fan of hot girls generally. But it's sort of sad and yeah, sad to see all the cute girls trying to be cute, and it's like God, I'm so fucking bored by cute girls being cute. Just because it's filled with it, and I don't know why that's the move. Trying to be loved by the camera, by the audience, just a bunch of like creepy dudes. Like
Yeah,
it's not a good game.
it's pretty weird. I'm
It's
glad
not.
I was married by the time I actually started using Instagram.
Yeah, it's a very bad time to be a young person in need of validation.
So
It's bad. It's hard to get.
before I was married, I actually dated an Instagram model,
Oh wow.
and I didn't even use Instagram. I didn't even have it on my phone. And one of the reasons that the relationship didn't last, obviously, because I didn't understand her obsession with herself, really. I mean, like seriously, like I understood that that's what she did for a living, or that's what she did. I don't know if it was for a living or not. But yeah, it was an odd
It's all
relationship where I was,
aspirational. It's all aspirational.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think living in the real world is good, and yeah,
New York
I'm
makes that very much in your face.
yeah. I mean, I don't think the screen will go away. I think we have a need to reflect, right? I was talking to someone earlier today about the fire for primitive peoples and how it was a place that you went to at night with others after the work of the day was done. And you either go over the tribe's troubles and failures and battle plans, or you tell stories and do dances and sing and you eat and you drink and you be merry and you enjoy being who you are. Or sometimes you are taught and corrected and almost maybe humiliated by other members of the tribe as a kind of rite of passage, or a student or young person who needs to learn something and they're not doing it well, and so they need to be held and supported by others, right?
Hmm.
I'd say military is something similar, and
What about the fire, though?
well, I think the phone and the computer have kind of become the fire,
Uh,
in a sense, but it's I think it's unhealthy that it's there 24/7,
hmm.
and it's very hard to know, right? Like no elders know how to regulate it, right? You and me and a little bit younger than me may actually be the first. Well, I don't know. I mean, what does it mean to be a good elder? And it's like, how should, yeah, like we really may just be like generations away from knowing what to do with the internet.
I think that's definitely true. I feel we're still in the weird early days.
Yeah.
We're in the days of gambling and pornography, just and just a little different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
aren't we? We're still in the era of cryptocurrency and e-girls. It's the same thing.
Well, I mean, but those things have endured, right? I mean, we you can trace cryptocurrency and trace e-girls back 6,000 years and further.
You
You
can
know, it's like
trace crypto and e-girls back 6,000 years. I think I know what you mean.
money. I
Yeah.
mean, society's money and sex. I mean,
Yes.
or power, and yeah, that's sort of the history of civilization.
So how is the internet going to fit into that? How is that? How is this going to be a
Yeah,
piece that
it
we've never needed
well,
before?
yeah, well, it makes me think about the family structure and that it's makes me think about family, makes me think about school and education, because in a sense, each child, each human being has a very particular, I'll say, heat signature. They have a particular soul that they are meant to develop and to bring out and to give the world as a gift. Now, your biological parents may not be the best suited for you. And all of a sudden, like, you can just be taught by so many different people and you can be exposed. It's very hard to know what to expose a person to, right? And maybe nobody really controls it except that person.
I hope so. I hope it's not like corporations eventually controlling that.
Well, yeah, control is an interesting thing. I mean,
I mean, at a certain point, all of the things that you do through your screen, somebody knows what's going on.
yeah, but I also don't know if anybody's really like watching. Like, it's just too much to watch, right? Like,
Maybe.
I mean,
It doesn't matter if somebody's watching or not. It still is going to come. It's it's still going to raise a really odd, or it's going to raise a generation of people that are, you know, that were taught by that. I know, like an example would be like my brother has two kids, and when they were really young, if you handed them an iPad and gave them YouTube, within like 5 to 10 minutes, they would be looking at the like weirdest, most disturbing videos because they would just kind of click on things that they were interested in, and that whole would lead them to like, you know, knock off Disney cartoons with Mickey's head being blown off and like, you know, just like really weird twisted
mm,
stuff.
mm-hmm,
Twisted animation is what they would ultimately turn into, and it would be stuff that was like mass produced purely just to get clicks. I call it clickbait and stuff. And I think like if you apply that to the entire civilization of internet users, I guess basically what people are doing
mm,
is they're they're reducing themselves to the content that is going to come back to them, or something like
hmm.
that.
Well, I mean, what does the content producer there really gain by getting a million views on your violent cartoon? It's
I
like, what
guess
is that
that's it.
like?
I
What
guess
does that
that's
really?
it.
Yeah, but it's like that's stupid and silly to you're not really thinking about the environmental impact, the spiritual impact, the psychological and psychic impact.
Oh, they're
And
thinking
it's
about how to
like,
make ad revenue, yeah, or something.
but it's like, what kind of hell is that? Like you don't get the pleasure of having a rich spiritual life. Like you don't get the pleasure of seeing your life in terms of center of like 7 generations from now. You're only thinking about the next month, and it's like, God, that's hell.
Well, that's why you and me and anybody listening to this probably is more intelligent than the average person who doesn't realize that that's what they're after, at least not until they're older.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. There was an article I was reading in the New Yorker a few days ago about white collar crime, and this guy who went to prison on some some white collar crime. I mean, like he was like a lawyer, a hedge fund guy, whatever. And after he got out, he sort of pivoted to like being a support group for people who are about to go into prison for white collar crime.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of, coastal elites, wealthy, went to good schools, all that stuff. And he said he was helping people detox from control and power.
Interesting. This was a book, or where'd you see this?
This was in the New Yorker. It was an article. Yeah,
I want to read
and
this.
yeah, I'll find it and send it to you. Yeah, it's and it just reminded me of something else I found on Twitter about turning middle aged and how it's like a time to kind of like give up ambition in a sense. Now, we might need to riff on this a bit. Yeah, to sort of like accept your limitations and sort of like to accept the shape of your one life, and kind of dream accurately, right? Like maybe when you're younger, it's about dreaming bigger, and when you get older, it's about dreaming accurately. And it's like, well, what are the dimensions of my day, of my week, my month, my season, my year, my 10 years, the rest of my life? And yeah, orienting that toward values. That's a word I kind of keep finding my way back to, because you sort of need a North Star, you sort of need a compass, unless it's just chaos. Which I think when you're young, you're supposed to be chaotic, and there's kind of no way to avoid it because you're driven by all these impulses: money, sex, status, beauty. I want to disobey my parents, but I also want to be protected by them and make them happy with me. But I also need to be myself, and yeah, I mean, today young people find all sorts of permission to like, and all sorts of examples, right? This is the good thing about social media and TikTok and Instagram, is you find a lot of examples, right? The tribe is so big. That's what the internet does. That's really challenging. The tribe gets so big that it encompasses the entire world,
And then
which,
is that a tribe anymore? I don't think so.
yeah. So in a sense, there's like no enemies, right? And for so long, human nature, and at least language, and at least like mythology, was about there's an enemy. But now it's like there isn't really one. It's just maybe friends we haven't made yet, right? And it's like, do we need to be afraid of the Russians or the Taliban or any other group, right? Like it's just a human being underneath, and it's like you can solve human problems by having a meal and listening to music and talking about grandma.
Yeah, having a
You're all
podcast.
well. I mean, even though, well, now we have met, but
I mean, that's the reason that I built this app, kind of, because I believed in that. I believed in like that now our communication is worldwide, and you can find somebody to laugh about anything with. You can find someone who has the same thing in common with you, and therefore it humanizes them, and hopefully it makes less enemies because it takes it's about control. Who is controlling who you're afraid of, and who's controlling who you like?
that's profound. That's a profound question. Who controls who you're afraid of?
And
Yeah,
the internet breaks that down.
well, yeah, because I mean, the internet does what literature has always done, which is it reminds you that other people are have gone through and are going through the same thing that you are.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's what art and literature do, is they prove that you are not alone, that someone else is going through it as well. But this is like the paradox of consciousness and of individuality, of I experience reality so much in my own self and my own life. Even if intellectually I know you're over there doing it too. like it sort of does not relieve me of the duty of like, you know, doing my work, right? I mean, I still need to fight in my own head and with my own tools and on my own screen to sort of get out of myself. Even if you're sitting right, even if you're right there and it's like, oh, there's another person. You don't need to be alone anymore. It's like, Jeffrey, I love you, but I need to turn back and I need to fight this thing out on my screen. Perhaps because I remember too much. Because right, and I mean, you may know this from marriage. I hear about it that like each day that person is new, and you're kind of rediscovering and sort of like you're encountering sort of a stranger, and it's like, ooh, like who's that stranger?
Yeah, I never really thought about that. To a degree, sometimes I mean, the stranger is both a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was the same person every day, that would get pretty old.
Yeah.
Um, so your point about, as we become middle aged, we start to dream. What is it? More realistically,
Dream more accurately.
dream more accurately.
It's a very good title.
I was actually I was thinking about this because I took a break today. I took a nap outside in my hammock,
Oh, nice.
and I remember thinking like I had to prep. I'm start teaching classes tomorrow, so I had to prep my class, but I was falling asleep, and I was thinking like I wonder if I can just dream about prepping class and then I'll be prepped. you know, uh, is that possible? Could I practice guitar in my dreams and get better at guitar? Obviously, my motor skills won't get better because my fingers aren't moving. But like, will I understand the guitar better and know what will sound good? Um, Dreaming, like I wanted to dream more accurately, and that's literal dreaming. But like
Yeah.
when I actually think about what I want out of my future, I do tend to think of things that are within reach. Well, sort of. I definitely don't have the same. This is somebody who is entering middle age. Um, like I don't have the same ridiculous dreams that I had, and I'm glad I had those ridiculous dreams because they actually became reality for a while. I've talked about some of those things that I dreamed about on these recordings, but now I feel like my dreams are uh, my dreams are more safe, I guess. They're more like I actually want more safety. That's what happens when you get older. You want more safety and security. You want to know that life is going to be as good as the last day rather than thinking, oh, things are going to be so much crazier and better in 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, you want familiarity, predictability, stability.
If for no other reason so that I can fuck it up myself,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think I kind of overdosed on stability in the last few months. So I mean, there's nothing that really fucks your life up more than moving to a big city
I,
and
I
having to figure out how to make it work. I mean, I really, I'm, yeah. Plans have never really been my forte. I more have a set of standards and a sensibility and a work ethic that I'm just going to trust will show up when I wake up there, and I can assess the state of the emergency of I'm a difficult person. I'm not good at making money because I sort of despise having to do it. Yet I've got this like left brain reverence for being a good little boy and doing a good job that I'm also kind of at war with from my more mature spiritual visionary self who wants to kind of break the whole thing down. And I sort of know that my art and my voice is very essential and that it is that battle between those two things and that nobody can pay me for it and I would not allow it. And yet I need to make money. And so I'm living a contradiction and a paradox that cannot last. And yet the days keep going on and on and on. And here I am in this same garage, essentially saying the same thing I've been saying for 20 episodes. But I think I'm saying it better now and with more conviction and more sharpness, because that's what practice does for you. You get better.
Well, moving to New York City without a plan, with just your discipline, sounds like a pretty chaotic thing to do. And it sounds like something that it sounds awesome. And it sounds like something I would be excited to do if I was 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm excited and I will live vicariously through you.
Yeah, I've got a really solid ragtag group of people who uh, know how to live vicariously through me.
A solid ragtag group of people.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I mean, it's like I've got a good audience of like 100 people,
Do
maybe
you have
200.
yeah, do you have friends in New York then
Yeah, plenty.
that you're gonna see
Um,
and stay with and all that?
I know the first place I'm going, and I can be there for 7 to 10 days,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I'm gonna kind of keep moving and keep scheduling and keep finding a way to essentially work on my laptop and on the typewriter and on the phone and
If you're a writer, if you're if you're a writer or an actor or a jazz musician, I can't really imagine a better city to be in. I mean, we still kind of have a
yeah.
pandemic, so that's kind of a bummer, but maybe it'll give you a little bit of opportunity to figure stuff out while everyone else doesn't have a clue what's going on. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I can imagine the solidarity that's there. And it's also a place where I think people help each other. And
I hope so.
yeah, no, I mean I had a really good experience there. And I sort of like the competitiveness, right? Like I like that there's a lot of like competitive, sharp, intelligent men who are not like me, right? I guess I'm talking more about like the finance and law type. And it's like I appreciate them as competitors, and I can learn a lot from their form and from their sense of humor, from their sense of seriousness, from their sense of reverence.
Mm,
Um,
you're competing with Wall Street.
I don't know if I wouldn't say it like that because I think we both sides need each other, right? The sort of employed on a track, doing what they know they need to do, as opposed to me sort of always like I stand back and look at the world and watch other people strive, and I try to make sense of how a person should be and what life is. I
Yeah,
guess that's what I do. Is I yeah, try to
I've
like
never been on a track, so I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm like that too.
well, yeah. I mean, my workday never really ends. Um, you know what's good and what I often notice when observing an employed person up close is they have like as if they're a wild animal. Um, like they have non-work, whereas I don't really. Right, and this actually came up a lot in the in that white collar crime article where when you do all this suffering and striving and succeeding, you all of a sudden need to go show it off. So you need to go take your family on trips. You need to go be seen at restaurants and clubs. You need to go on vacations. You need to be able to share the wealth.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I haven't really been in so big of a rush to do that, right? Um, nice things are nice. Maybe I'm saving it for later, right? I mean, I think I can still like keep working my ass off and wringing myself out for another few years. Um, but hard work never ends, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think my there was any. I don't think my life ever had really nice things in it. Oh, until recently, which was all by chance. It was all luck,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It's like that's the way I kind of always knew it was going to be for me. It was always just going to be some lucky thing that happened to me
Hmm.
because I'm not going to play the game that most people play. I just never was going to do that. And yeah, never. I there's something, we all went to college for some reason. Like I think most of us don't really know why like we did that. We did it because we were told we should, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. Like, man, when I was a teenager, I was so good at following the rules. I was so good because that's what you know colleges wanted. Really, they wanted people who were really good at following the rules or whatever. I don't know. I was exceptional at being unexceptional, and like once I graduated, I remember like hating the work that I was getting, even though it was creative work, even though I was working at recording studios. And I remember people keep on thinking you're going to probably want something better because you went to Stanford or whatever. You're going to want something better. You're going to want a better system, a better track. And I kind of felt like, man, I think I went to the wrong school or something, or like I did the wrong thing. I should have I should have like entered the world of working from more of like a, I don't know, survivalist,
Yeah.
way or something.
A tactician, a mechanic. Saw.
Yeah,
Yeah. There was like a, a hierarchy I saw. It was like let's see if I can remember it. It was like a nutritional food pyramid where the bottom was mechanic, the middle, God, was it manager, and then the top was mystic. That
mystic.
that might have been what it was.
Hmm.
And you sort of like try to like go up, sort of like the hierarchy of needs. It's like you start with like the very practical, doing the actual thing, brass tacks, rubber meeting the road, hammer hitting the
Yeah.
nail, and then you get to the management place where you can kind of like look left to right and kind of see the whole thing happening, and you understand who does what when and what it costs and all that stuff. And then maybe the mystic part is where you then get up a little higher and you start to see the whole industry and even more than the whole industry, like the whole world, see how your little team fits into the ecology, we could say, of the whole earth and of the whole species.
The mystics use their brains more than any of the others in that pyramid, and I think like for me,
Hmm.
I've always known that I was a mystic mechanic. That's what I've always been. In fact, my entire family has been that. I mean, my father is an intellectual carpenter. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, he's the dean of a film school, but a woodworker, like that kind of thing. And I've always been that same thing. And there's no place in the world where you get to do that unless you do one of them really, really well. Um, but I guess that is kind of the hierarchy, and I kind of hate hierarchies for that reason because it means that you
Hmm.
can't be a mechanic unless you're basically at the bottom of that pyramid, and people at the bottom of the pyramid get paid less, right? You get paid a lot more to sit around and just use your brain uh, than you do to actually get your hands dirty.
That's funny.
Oh, I mean, it's isn't it true though? I mean, like look at the people who get paid the most in this world. They like
Well, it
maybe
all
they
the
wake up very early in the morning, but they really just they're, I guess maybe they're the people that make a lot of decisions. They have to make a lot of hard decisions.
Yeah. Well, it all depends where you sell your behavior, right? All a corporation is mostly a way of behaving that you can go subscribe to, and you can give them your hours and they give you money and you give them a certain behavior set. You can always go be a superstar consultant and you can kind of get back in charge of your own labor, but then you got to go find who wants to give you money to do it your way, which is aspirational. It's I mean, it's really like a war that you're waging, and I've been I'm in the middle of waging it, and I've been doing it for a while. Of I insist on finding the thing that only I can do, and somehow I'm going to find the people who will pay me for it, and it's not figured out yet, and I lose
Hmm.
everything in the meantime, and all I have is hope and my grit, and I'll someday get to the other side, I think, where I know how to make it work and figure it out. And I might be really close. But goddamn, this period lasts a long time, and it might last my whole life.
I think I may have just realized this. I'm not sure, but I think that that thing that I have that is valuable to the rest of the world isn't something that I'm going to do in the future. It's something that I've done in the past. It's kind of a weird realization. But an example of this is, I'm a music composer. I write music for a living, and I sell that music, and people give me money for it. Um, and most of what I'm getting paid for is stuff that I did a long time ago. And I
Mm-hmm.
just licensed a song that I wrote 12 years ago, 13 years ago,
Oh wow.
and and so therefore my job kind of becomes selling my past, selling my selling my story, my past, selling the emotions, my past emotions. I mean, a
Hmm.
song that I wrote when I was really fucked up on drugs and alcohol is something that I now am pitching to other people to buy. Uh, so it's and like that was that period of my life when I was perhaps, no, I wouldn't say the most artistic, but like definitely a place in my life, a time in my life when the most emotion was going into what I was doing. Um, and now I've just commodified it because I don't know what
Yeah.
else to do with it. I've written over 1,000 songs in the last 10 years,
Hmm.
and like most people haven't heard them. I mean, they're in a library that I pitch to people to use in their videos, but like it's all stuff that I've done in the past. I kind of would like to get back to being excited about the future of what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to make something that the world needs, rather than how do I make people want what I've already done.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the hierarchies, nah, don't even get me started in them. I can't stand the I can't stand the obsession we have in this country and this world with leadership and like the hierarchies, the system of one person making a decision and being in charge, and everyone having to fall in line with that. Whatever happened to consensus, and did we ever have consensus ever? Like, was there ever a real consensus, or was just all was it fake? Was it
Hmm.
or is consensus only something that works in small communities of hippies that live on farms or whatever?
Well, yeah. When you sort of got the time to come to an agreement, you can. But again, I'll mention the military. It's like the military wouldn't work if at each time a decision was made, the people affected got to get together and write a petition saying no. Here's why we should do it differently. It's like,
Yeah, but what does the military have to do? Like the military is defending us from foreign invaders. Like, okay, well, I mean,
um,
we can have a consensus of how that happens. Like, we can elect somebody to lead us in a situation like that. But the rest of the time, do we really need to play by those rules? I mean, I guess
well,
so.
I mean, I think there's different kinds of people, right? I mean, and I think this is like when you work in an institution or are on a team, like you sort of show up and it's like someone else decides what you do and then you go do it. That's a lot of people's jobs is here's what's going to be done and you go
Uh-huh.
do it.
Yeah.
So that's like management.
So you think some
Um,
people just need that? They need to be told what to do. I guess you're right. It's some people do.
Well, yeah, I mean, because right, like our job is actually very hard on the brain, right? Because you need to make your own problems, and I mean, like maybe I'll speak for myself. It's like you make your own problems, you make your own solutions, you make your own drama, yeah, it's like I have to decide what to do, and no, I have nobody else to point at when I fail. Right? There's no manager to blame. No one else has been watching. Now it would be very interesting to start to say like, well, it's the audience's responsibility as well, right? Like, what is the listener's responsibility, right? I mean, I tweet all sorts of crazy shit, and it's like, I mean, and a lot of people just like live tweet their bad mental health. It's like, well, who's responsible for that person, right? And yeah, those are hard questions to ask. That maybe only women are able to know that because they're the ones who really guard the culture because they've got an instinct for it. But it goes to elders too, right? Like in a sense, my writing and my kind of like freaking out is like a protest about like I'm screwed. I'm not going to be okay. This is not good that I don't have any safety and security. But again, yeah, I'm conflicted.
Hmm.
I can't be saved. I can't get what I want. Right? Like if I'm not happy now, I'm never gonna be. But I think I'm moving away from happiness.
You're moving
But
away from happiness.
sort of to I'm trying to like get above it. It's not something I aim for. I think purpose is better. Right? Like I should be overjoyed. I should be
You should be overjoyed.
thrilled. I should be this is wonderful. I came back from New York in 2015, and I've now put in my 6 years of work around the clock to prove that I really want to do this thing. And now I'm getting promoted back up to the big leagues. It's like this should be the best. It should be wonderful. I should be celebrating. I should have my tits out on the balcony and covering myself in champagne and doing party poppers and but
But
it's um and I don't know. I think you have to keep you have to stay uncomfortable and you have to stay curious and keep going. Because yeah, no one is stopping to make sure I celebrate.
that's probably the healthiest thing that I've learned from you is to stay sort of uh, uncomfortable and unsatiated.
Yeah.
Is like because I 41 years old, I'd love to just be comfortable all the time. I don't know if that's my age or just the way I've always been. I've kind of been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of purposely taking myself out of a comfortable place and putting myself in an uncomfortable one where there's no obvious thrill. Like in the past, if there was a thrill, oh, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
there was a hot girl, or if there was a reason to be excited about something, then I will get into the most uncomfortable position ever. but um, but like if there's no thrill, if there's nothing that I need out of that, then why would I even bother to do it? And it takes an intelligence to realize that you're not really growing if you're not learning how to deal with that discomfort. And
Yeah.
like why like I want to do it more actually. I should. I feel like I should go, run naked on the beach more often. Maybe not
Yeah.
that, but something like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I sort of go back to something T.S. Eliot said about tradition and talent. And he says that the progress of an artist is a continual extinction of personality. You have to continually surrender what you have been to what you might be. So it's like you have to like keep not being yourself, right? Like you have to keep being new. And I think anyone who follows the creative path, creative living, and creative work, you sort of have to like be in a marriage with yourself first, and one of those marriages where you're seeing the person anew every day. In a sense, emotional virginity, which is an interesting phrase I came across today in a quotation from the Portuguese author Fernando Pessoa, who wrote under dozens and dozens of different pseudonyms, maybe up to 80 or 100 different characters that he made up that allowed him to speak.
Emotional virginity.
Yeah, it's
Whoa,
good.
that's like in Alcoholics Anonymous we talk about emotional sobriety. Like, like because obviously you can not have any substances in your body and be totally fucked up, right? On your emotions.
Yeah.
But emotional virginity means that you haven't experienced, like, I wonder if it's something you can get back. Can I get back my emotional virginity?
Well, I mean, it also reminds me of a Jack Kerouac quote. He said, "Pain or fear or danger makes you." No, what was it? Pain or love or danger makes you real again. Pain, love, and danger. So it's like if you experience those, all of a sudden you're back with the freshness of ooh, like this is new, and it's almost like it's the first time all over again because it's also the only time, right? And I mean, I think if we want to use that word mystic again, I think a mystic can see that childhood and adulthood and old age are one. And I mean, a lot of accomplished writers and artists will say similar things that like we're all the same age inside, and that the body gets older, but we're still that very first consciousness.
We're the same consciousness, but we go through different phases of emotional awareness.
I mean, I don't know if it's phases of emotional awareness because I'm not sure we ever regress.
Maybe not.
I
Maybe.
think you keep learning more and more.
Well, then, yeah, phases of increasing awareness.
Yeah, I mean, like I often think about it like walking backwards, right? I remember one time in like college, I was high and was walking at night with someone, and I started walking backwards, and it was like blew my mind. It's like, oh wow, like it's so much different than walking forwards, where where like you walk backwards, and it's like things appear in the periphery, and all of a sudden these things you've been looking at for a long time, you now see them in more and more context. Yeah, try it sometime. Walk
That's
backwards,
such a stoner thought, but I like it.
and I mean it was a profound thing to see and to understand.
Yeah, the context changing is something that you've been looking at for a while. Just walking backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah, though it gets smaller, but more details and environment fill in around it.
And you're somewhat blind. You can't see where you're going. So,
Yeah, that too.
well, that's your lesson for today, listeners. So you
I
have to
like
go
that.
and walk backwards.
Walking backwards through life, mystic mechanics. There's another good line that we came up with early. I mean, I think emotional virginity could be good. There's a really good one early on.
I'll have to listen. I'll have to listen through it. But yeah, I think there was a couple things that we said in there. All right.
Yeah,
Well, thanks everyone for listening. That's our
nice
that's
one.
our hour.
Nice
Let's
one.
wrap this up. Goodbye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.